I don't think it's so. So we obviously want to go for Tormod's Grip here, but we also want to try to resolve Emerald as quickly as possible. So I think the right play here. So if I play Karn, down him, grab Tormod's, that buys me a turn. And then next turn, and I can still star into or drop Oblivion Stone. So we'll go for Karn. Tormod's Grip. Cast it. And then I think we want to just I mean, you can argue for either line of play here. Star into Stirrings is going to draw you a card and a threat. Oblivion Stone just doesn't do much as of right now, but it does give us the turn to Stone next turn if he somehow did assemble a team. But I think I like going Star into... So Stirrings is going to give us... We're still going to be 1 mana short, even if we grab Tower with Scrying for the Emrakul next turn. But I think Scrying here is the right play. Gives you so much more mana to work with next turn. Really opens up your options. So we're going to Scrying here and grab a Tower. MTGO. So I think we're pretty happy here to grab So Chalice for 2 really shuts off a lot of what his deck is trying to do. You could also argue for Liquid Metal Coating to start going for his lands. Sundering Titan if you wanted to try to get a threat out on this turn. I think I like Chalice of the Void just because it turns off so much of what his deck does well. And so we're going to Chalice for 2. I'll respond with the Gaze. That's fine. Really, all we need to do at this point is we'll just play another Karn, and we'll start taking out his lands. And we've really put him in a lock at this point. He can't cast any of his can't cast any of his enabling spells that enable his graveyard deck. He's also locked out with Tormods. And soon to have no mana. Oh. That was a dumb play. Whoops. Really, he's still in a soft lock, even without the Liquid Metal Coating. Next turn, we're resolving Emrakul, and there's not really much that he can do about it. Okay, so he dredged up the Thug. He's got Dark Blast, a Ghoul, Amalgam, a Gaze, Narcobia. And so the Narcobia is going to then trigger the Amlagon. And that's about it. So I think we're okay with that. Are we? Do we want to give him any type of... Actually, we don't really want to give him any type of creatures right now. So we're just going to get rid of that. I mean, what that does is that puts him in a position where now he has to hard cast all of his spells. Alright, so sideboard plan against Dredge. We leave the Crypt in the sideboard because it's much more likely that we draw a Karn than our Singleton Crypt. Pithing Needle is good against his deck. It stops Conflagrate, and it also stops Ox of Agonis. But is it better than Thragtusk? His deck operates mainly on speed, so cards like Karn aren't really that great against him. I think it is better than Karn because it can come down turn 1 and turn off some of the best cards in his deck. Or come down turn 2 in some cases, depending on our draw. You really do want the Ujins for board sweepers. Ulamog is a mini sweep. Emrakul ends the game, essentially, as we just won that game with it. And then we have cards like Karn, Oblivion Stone. These are all good. Warping Will is really good against his deck, so I think we're going to try running that. None of the other singletons in our deck are really worth sideboarding in. Force of Vigor is essentially useless against him. Veil of Summer is really not good against him either. They can't really bring in much sideboard hate, and what they do bring in is just one-ofs, and it's usually like random color cards, so we're going to try running this list. So we have the turn 1 Relic, and then we have a bunch of ways to get Tron lands. So this is, surprisingly enough, this is actually a good hand against his deck. Not in general, this is not a good hand. You always want to have at least 1, if not 2 Tron lands, but against his deck, against a linear deck like Dredge, turn 1 Relic is so good. So incredibly good against his deck. It basically puts him in a position where he has to take out the Relic right away, or we can slow him down and buy like 2 to 3 turns worth of. So the only question is, do you play the relic on turn 1? Or do you stirrings on 1? I think you stirrings on 2, and then you can play... I think you stirrings on 2. You want to get the relic down right away, and if he has the removal for it, then so be it. But we're not going to hold the relic. It's only really good in the beginning of the game, and that's slowing him down. So he does have the removal spell. That's unfortunate. There's nothing we can do about that. Okay, so we top decked a tower, which is actually a really good draw for us because now we can scrying on 2 and then map on 3, and we have Tron on 4. Essentially, even with that draw, we're still hitting a turn 4 Tron, which is going to most likely be fast enough against his draw, where he hasn't cast a single enabler yet. Looks like he might be playing one right here. Yep, Thrilling Discovery, gain 2 life. The artwork on that is sick. And you may discard 2 cards if you do draw 3, so he'll discard 2 enablers like Imp or Thug, and then draw those, and each of those will have a Dredge 5 on them. There's the Imp. And so we can see that he was able to return Stinkweed Imp, and then he dredged the Thug and a Chill, and he returned the Thug. So we know he has Stinkweed Imp and Thug in his hand, along with 3 other cards. Looks like he's got a Conflagrate in his graveyard now. And he has an Ox. So Ox, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, he has enough to save the Ancient Grudge and Ox me, or save the Conflagrate. That's fine. We are just trying to hit our Tron right now. We're not worried about that. And so we'll just play our map and pass. End of turn, we'll get our Tron, and we'll have O-Stone. We have tons of options next turn on how we can proceed. If he gets a bunch of guys into play, we can O-Stone. If he doesn't, we can Karn for Tormods. And there's also... okay, I don't know if that's the right play there. I mean, there's no reason to do that. It doesn't accomplish anything. I was sacking it either way, and I'm going to get my Tron, so... I don't really like that play by him. Personally, I think that probably is a misplay. Alright, so he went straight for the Ox. So he's going to discard his hand, which is just a bunch of enablers, and then he's going to draw 3 of those enablers and dredge a bunch more cards. And look at that. 1, 2 Amligons, Amligams, a Creeping Chill. So we know now that he has Imp, Thug, and Imp. So now the issue becomes if we stone him, he can just do the Ox trick again. And literally rinse and repeat with that. So instead of stoning him, we are going to Thragtusk. Because next turn, assuming he doesn't have another Ancient Grudge that he top decks, unlikely. Next turn, we'll have enough mana to Karn for Tormods and Blow the Stone, so we can basically win the game at that point. Okay, so he's looking for an Ancient Grudge here. Essentially. If he hits one, then it could be really bad for us. 2 lands. And he topped a card. So he's got 3 Stinkweed Imp in his hand now and 1 Thug, because he dredged another one that turn. So essentially, what we're going to do now is we're going to play the Karn. We're going to grab Tormods. We're going to play the Tormods. Assuming he doesn't have a counter spell, we're going to attack. And we're going to use the Tormods. We're going to Ancient Stirrings. We'll grab a Karn and pass the turn. Okay, so if we scrying into tower, that leaves us with one floating, and then we'll have 8, 9 total. So that's plenty. So we'll scrying into a tower, play the tower, play the Karn, grab our bridge, play our bridge, play the expedition map, pass the turn. Oh. Hmm. So we have no disruption, only one Tron land. But if we draw our second Tron land on our first 2 draw steps, and we have turn 3 Karn Liberated, which actually isn't even that good against his deck. We'd rather have Warping Whale. So we're going to mulligan this hand. And there's the Warping Whale that we wanted. So we have turn 1 Ancient Stirrings, turn 2 Warping Whale, which is exactly what you need against his deck. We're going to bottom the Ulamog just because we're pretty far away from being able to cast that. He's mulliganing to 5. He's going to need a really good draw to beat this draw from us. So we're looking for tower mine. We did not hit. Prob spear. I don't think we take Karn here. I mean, you could argue for Karn, but with 4 of them in my deck, I'm just as likely to draw into another one, and I'd rather get the card draw to try to hopefully hit a versus of tanks. Hmm. We'd have to hit tower for that. Makes sense. You go like that. Tower. Play it. So the question here is, do you want to Karn into Tormod's Crypt? Or Karn Liberated, start attacking his hand? I think the right play is... He's got Thug and one other card. seconds on this fucking timer.